It has been a long time coming that I've been desiring to do this. Where we have our garden, I like to keep it pretty well manicured. We have a bunch of raised rock beds and we have wood mulch for the path. We let the plants grow up in the raised beds. We try to keep the paths maintained. But the wild is a crazy thing. If you drive past an old city even, it's not too long and everything's crawling up, growing over it. There's trees coming out of buildings, you know, also vines crawling all over everything. Sidewalks and, you know, roads just completely destroyed with plants just bursting up from it. That's how things are in the wild. It has such a desire to live and thrive that if you're not actively kind of suppressing that, you lose it. So this is a part of my property that I've been working on for years. The part behind the camera looks rather nice and manicured. There you got some little peas coming up for the winter. There you've got some onions and peas. There's still some peppers back there with the tarp that was covering them, and heading through here, there's a garden. Okay, a lot of stuff. It's dormant this time of year. There's not a ton growing, but it's a garden. Now over here, look at this. There's creeping Charlie. There's blackberries. That looks like a pecan tree or a hickory tree. Here we've got oak. There's poke salad, pokeweed, all sorts of different stuff. Sage grass, all this stuff. And the problem is, this is kind of the area I never tamed. So look here. Now creeping Charlie growing out into the path, into the raised beds. You got all this stuff crawling across the fence. All these grasses reproducing, coming in there. Look at this grass just creeping, aiming for my garden. See? It's on this side of the fence. Look at it over here. Oh man. I think I'm gonna hit all this with a flamethrower and then heavily suppress it with mulch. But all this stuff, see look, a next generation of seeds is ready to come out. All this stuff is going to seed. It's aiming for my garden. I finally put a fence up here. And this fence I'm probably gonna run for a while. I'm probably gonna leave it for maybe over a year and just let my animals knock this down to about nothing. Right now, I'm walking up a chute that's gonna maintain, or gonna continue to be a chute. Up here, we've got some of our breeding age rams. There's Dodge in the center screen, munching up some stuff. This is one of his boys from last year. What's going on, Jacob? You're looking good. You really are. Here we got Zeke on the right side. Yeah, and then Thunderkill on the back. And these are 4-horn Jacob sheep rams. They are pretty crazy looking. Right, buddy? Crazy with those 4 horns. And that's a lot of growth. It really is. For about a year and a half now. I guess going on 2 years. He's got some serious growth. I think he may be bigger than his daddy back there. But this is one of the pastures. You can see it's knocked down pretty well. This is going to be our senior pasture. Across the street, across the driveway is the associate pasture. Down past there is the bottom pasture. There's a woods pasture. There's a mini barn pasture. There's the one over here. And then here on the far side, we have another one that I'm really having the sheep knock down so that we can eventually expand the garden that way. But before I expand that garden, I at least want to tame the stuff that's posing this giant threat to it. So I just lifted some of the wild garlics that were growing in here out of here to relocate. And right here on this dark spot, we just took out an apple tree seedling. So as the garden expands here eventually, there's going to continue to be a chute up the backside so I can run these animals right through here into that pasture from over here. Over here is where they've been keeping things suppressed for me so that they don't grow up too much. I've got some plans for all this area and I've got a lot of chipper shredding to do, and I still got a good amount of firewood to pull out of here. But what they don't know is I pretty much took this fence down already. I got one latch to undo right here, and if I undo that, I can take this fence down. So I'm going to do that in a second and turn them loose on this wild, crazy area. And then they're gonna just start taking care of it for me. I'm so excited for that. I'm gonna sneak out my hole, move this down, and then I'll call those ewes over and just let them move into this area and start taking care of it for me. This would be such a labor-intensive thing for me to do. I mean, without heavy equipment, a bulldozer, a skid steer with a bucket, you know, something like that, you could scoop all this up and grind it away, but I'd rather have my sheep eat it. There's a lot of good nutrients and nutrition stuff here right now. You see all the guys are over by themselves. That's because my ewes should have just been bred. And we like that. That gets us the next generation in the spring. Oh, I had my tool in my pocket. Right here is the last little section I got to close in. So I'm going to take that cattle panel off of there, bring it here, and turn them loose. But I'm going to try to do this without them noticing, because if they notice, they're going to fight me. I got to get that up and blocked before they see what I'm doing. And once I call, they'll come running, so I'll be back in a second. All right, here we go. Let's give it a try. They heard me. I think the first ones are coming. Oh, I'm mad once. Watch this. Look at that. Did you see that? My sheep know my voice. Come on up, right there. Come on up. Come see, there's no wall, You're free to come on in. Oh, they're figuring it out. And where I took down that other wall, they're figuring it out too. Look at them coming. So right now is November 11th. This is what it looks like. November 11th. Let's take a look at this whole thing. Walkway up there, across here. Oh, you guys found your way up there too, huh? Come on up, come on up. Day one. So this is going to be huge. It's going to be so huge in the progress and future of our garden. I intentionally offset the fences a little bit and use cattle panels so someone would be able to stick their heads through and nibble on the other side too. So I didn't need to have this quite tight up against things, but they're off to a great start. It's just so wild here. It comes in so quick. Don't let things like Creeping Charlie be near your garden. Wow, I can't wait. I can't wait for this to be completely suppressed, and I can't wait for the babies that these ones have gestating right now. I could be feeding them hay. We do some of that, or grain, but if they're able to eat fresh, wild things, that's always going to be best, as long as it's stuff that they can handle and eat. One cool thing too is that as I weed through some of the stuff in the garden, I can just toss it over this fence to them too, and they'll gobble it up too, not letting it have an opportunity to go to seeds, that it's seeds in the garden or spread by roots or other things like that. I I waited too long to do this. I really have. And it's such a joy for me to have these sheep in here now mowing this down. So I'm gonna leave them where they can go down in the part they've been used to, get back to their regular water, but whenever they're hungry they can come up and mow this area for me. We're just gonna leave it like that for them. They seem to be doing really well so far. This is day 1, and I'll just kind of monitor how many days it takes them to knock this whole thing down. I'm not gonna do them daily, but this is day 1. Let's take one last look with the mowing, and I'll clear out for the night. Looks like some chairs got buried in a leaf pile. Oh no! What is this? What is this?
Mine and Bug's leaf pile.
Your leaf pile? You made a fort? Is it warm in there?
Yes, it's actually really hot in here.
Wow. Well, you guys can continue to rake up leaves and play. Just be careful.
Sir. Watch out for snakes.
There could be snakes still hiding in the leaf piles, absolutely. You're smart, thank you. Carry on. I want to see more on top too, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to put more on top so this looks like this leaf pile.
Good, good, good.
Alright.
What is that? You can do that without breaking the rake?
Yes.
Okay.
I keep leaves under the bottom as well.
Okay. Well, look at it now.
Oh.
It's so much bigger. Oh, wow. That's an even better hidey hole. Hey, little girl, can you show me how it works? How do you sneak inside? Show me, show me, show me. You can hide in there? Don't bunk your head. Oh, a little bit. Well, look at that. Hey, I see you. I can still tell you're in there. Super cute. Very nice. So, I love it. I love it when things cool down a little bit, or a lot of the garden production stops. It gives me a chance to kind of retame things. You can see some of these beds. I did not keep up on it like I should have. I mean, I've got a sycamore tree growing right here. It's about 3.5, 4 feet tall. You know, there's things I've got to do. Whoa. Geese over there. But there's things I got to do to tame this. With these guys helping me out, this is going to be awesome. Look at how much they've knocked down. And I'm going to continue to let them be in here. What's going on? Happy? So they're just going to continue suppressing all of that. Here's where I got to fight it. I got to sort out, like here, strawberry plant, I want that. Here, creeping Charlie. This will take over all sorts of stuff if I let it. There you go. Yeah. Now they'll reach their heads out and nibble down as much as they can reach. But I've got to tame some of this before it takes over everything. You can see a couple sections here I've remulched for the winter. I did use a flamethrower and burned some up too. The reason I burned some up is that I do not want the seeds to exist. So here's like a whole bunch of charred earth out here. You can see it's all burnt up across here. There was just so much grass going to seed here. What I'll do is I'll probably burn it again and then add my thick layer of mulch over the top. But as long as this is thriving, it's just going to keep pushing out, taking over parts of my garden. I waited too long to do this. Obviously this is just a mess in here. Now I should be able to come in and see all the taller ones in there. I'll be able to snip them back or have one of the children do it. They like fun projects like that. And yeah, have them suppress a lot of this grass and other things here. What's that? Garbage, I guess. But if this grass continues to spread, continues to go to seed, it'll just continue to work its way in here. It's not what we want. I like the natural wild edibles as a winter cover crop here. This is actually some purple dead nettle coming up. And look at all this chickweed. If chickweed covers some of my garden beds for winter, I think that's awesome. There's actually baby carrots in here too, from saving carrot seeds, letting them go to seed. Some falls to the ground, and that's okay. We can let carrots reseed themselves, but so one of the natural wild edibles as a ground cover for winter. I'm totally not against planting winter cover crops. I've done it before. There's certain ways I like to kind of tuck in the garden beds for winter, but this stuff, chickweed is one of my favorite wild edibles. I really appreciate this guy. And one of the most common places for it before was up in the woods through there. So I got some coming into my garden now, and I absolutely love it. I've also got some things planted. We'll see how they do. Here's a row of peas, which can do some stuff for the winter. There's a couple different places. The wild garlic is available all winter as a green. Very cool, very tasty. Right up over here, some other nice clumps of it. And there's more peas and stuff planted up there too. And then here in our zone, the fig trees usually die back every year to the ground level. I might try to let a couple of the taller, thicker ones remain and just see. Not every winter do they die back, but what I like to do is you have one of these nodes here and you put them in the right conditions beneath the soil. That'll put forth roots. Above the soil, it'll put forth stems or buds or figs or leaves, you know. So just a short section of this, I could actually cut that section between my fingers into 2 different pieces and grow 2 different plants off of it. So since this is going to die back anyway, and since they just went dormant, earlier today I relisted our cuttings in our Etsy shop. So I'll take cuttings of this when people order them, and then they can just grow their own off of a cutting. This is going to be gone by spring anyway. Most of these are going to die back this year. So just a cool way for us to have somebody else get more of these, you know, get established some of their own, and then for us to pass on the blessing, which isn't going to exist anyway. Oh, I've got a lot of things to do. I got some welding to do soon in my garden. I've got some raking to do soon. It's kind of a mess out here for the year, but I have got a lot of it cleaned up. I've actually got a project coming across here. I'm going to do an amount of welding and let these muscadines have a better thing to grow on. I'm looking forward to it, but we'll see how far I get. And I still got to dig up the sunchokes for this year. I haven't done that yet. I know a number of people who have been asking for them, so I'll see if we actually sell some this year too. If anyone wants to get established, I'll see what fits in the box and what makes sense, and we'll see if we can't get some Jerusalem artichokes, some sunchokes for people too. And I'm saving these seeds for the snake gourds right now. That's my biggest one ever. I'll probably do a special video about them and revisit them because I love that plant so much. The snake gourds. Kikinda competition strain edible gourds, originally sourced from Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company, and one of our top 3 garden plants for sure. Progress is progress. Sometimes progress is slow. Taming and maintaining what I have is very important. And then as I'm able to kind of get appropriate jurisdiction of certain areas of this garden, then to continue it is going to be worthwhile. I bit off more than I could chew a couple times, and I should have fenced it in originally different to allow them to help me with a lot more of the stuff around here, and it would have been easier for me to concentrate on what I was taming or had already tamed. But such is life, live and learn. If I had it all do over again, I would. And one thing you may want to consider too, I have a high level of perennials in my garden. If I would have just done a garden that was for annuals, then every winter or off season, or even just have a couple beds designated for the winter crops, and the other ones I could just turn over to my sheep and let them just work through the entire thing, eat up all the stuff that we don't eat up, you know, from the garden, knock back all the weeds and all that stuff, and then I could actually just burn it all every year too. It wasn't uncommon for people just to kind of burn up their garden at the end of the season. Here we've got so many rocks and things that I don't want to disrupt all the organic pest control posse from lizards and snakes and things like that actually hide in all these and are available throughout the year. You know, if it's a warm day, we'll see lizards and snakes out here. But then also a lot of the insects too that are beneficial, like praying mantises laying their eggs in between them and stuff. But if that's not your thing, you could burn up all sorts of the bad bug eggs and things like that too, and then kind of start with a cleaner slate for the next year. And of course, ashes can be beneficial for a garden too. So, oh, this crew is really good. We cut back on the hay for them for a bit, just to have them invest extra time and effort over there. I'll give you one last look at it, and then we'll shut this down, right? It didn't say nothing. So all of that crazy overgrown stuff that was here, that just crazy wilderness, has now been stripped back, cut back, taken care of, and I'm gonna let them continue to suppress it. After I kind of regain dominion over all the stuff that's supposed to be the garden, then I'll start expanding again. But right now, I've got enough to maintain and restore order to that these guys can definitely have jurisdiction to this for right now. It'll just be part of their pasture, if you will. And I'm gonna keep this one kind of heavily worked on. Some of the other ones I rotate off, make sure to give them a chance to grow back quite a bit. This one I want to keep suppressed because this is where I'm expanding my garden from. So kind of I'm gonna keep the sheep in these areas throughout the entire growing season and have them keep it knocked down, and then rotate them through the greener pastures for a moment, come back over here, keep knocking it down, and continue like that for a moment. It just seems to be what makes the most sense for me at the moment, and just waited too long to do it. So learn from my mistakes. If you got other suggestions too, feel free. I'm not beyond learning, but we'll see you next time. Papa out. Keep the sheep in these areas throughout the entire growing season and have them keep it knocked down, and then rotate them through the greener pastures for a moment, come back over here, keep knocking it down, and continue like that for a moment. It just seems to be what makes the most sense for me at the moment, and just waited too long to do it. So learn from my mistakes. If you got other suggestions too, feel free. I'm not beyond learning, but we'll see you next time. Papa out.